Good evening, everybody. I'm Fictional Crystals, and King Harrow is still alive. So, I've been excited for The Dragon Prince since the day it was announced. I watched it the minute it premiered on Netflix, and it was really, really good. Usually in shows, I'm really quick with choosing a favorite character, and I normally have characters that I dislike early on, but that wasn't the case with The Dragon Prince. Each and every character in The Dragon Prince is likable, and they all have moments to shine. The only one that isn't is Viren, but he's meant to be like that. You're supposed to dislike him. They did a great job with him too. The comedy relief was on point and didn't feel out of place. The emotional moments fit well. The family dynamics were realistic. The setting and lore of the story is beautiful. They had well done representation. And I could just go on and on about the writing. I highly recommend the show. Watch it on Netflix and help it get more seasons, guys. This video is going to contain spoilers for book 1 of The Dragon Prince if you haven't seen it. Anyway, after my first viewing of the season, I came up with a whole list of theory ideas. But the one I'm going to be talking about today, I noticed quite a lot of other people picked up on, including one of my real-life friends who I convinced to watch the show. That is, King Harrow is not dead. King Harrow, Prince Ezren, and Prince Callum's dad, was supposedly killed by the Moonshadow Elf assassins when they invaded his castle. The Moonshadow Elf assassins swore an oath to kill him and Prince Ezren. They bound themselves with magic to do this. The bindings around their wrists wouldn't come off until the king and the prince were dead. The bindings on the elves' right arms were for the king. The left was for Prince Ezren. The bindings would get tighter and tighter and would only come off once the king and the prince were dead. The only other way to get them off was by their hands falling off, or through a dragon in Rayla's case. The bindings on the elves' right arms came off. It's no longer on Rayla and no longer on Runan. Runan made a smoke bird to take his binding to Xadia, signifying to them that the king is dead, while the binding for Prince Ezren remains tight. So surely if this magical binding that could only be removed by the king dying, or a dragon, or their hand falling off, actually did come off, that must mean the king is dead. In a way, that is true. His body was killed. However, his spirit was not. Before the assassins came, Viren proposed to Harrow a way to keep him alive. His spirit, at least.
The Moonshadow Elves will find the king's body, but your spirit will survive.
A soulfang snake has 2 heads, 2 mouths to bite with. By biting 2 creatures, and using a little magic, the 2 subjects that were bitten can switch bodies. King Harrow refused the idea. He didn't want someone dying instead of him, but Viren went through with it anyway. Just before the assassins attacked, Viren was in Harrow's room. It was only them and Harrow's pet Pippin there. Viren went into the room with the basket carrying the soulfang serpent, but when he left the room, he didn't have the basket or the snake, because then and there, he forcibly used it to make Harrow and Pip switch bodies. Think about it, after their meeting we didn't see Harrow again. The only times we did were in the ending credits, and when his dead body was covered in a sheet. We never saw his death on screen or even him fighting, because if we did, we would have realized immediately that it was Pip in his body. In shows and movies, if you don't see the death on screen, they're probably not really dead. Viren is a very, very tricky person, yet he still respected King Harrow. He was there on the day of his coronation. He thought of him as his brother. Or maybe this was a lie, but he certainly has plans he needs Harrow for. I don't think Viren would have just let Harrow die at the hands of the elves. He saved his spirit in the bird's body. He didn't want Harrow in Pip's body to alert others of what happened, which was why after the attack the bird was placed in a cage. And Viren made this comment at him.
No song for the occasion?
Harrow is meant to be a significant character. If he really died in episode 3, that's far too little screen time for him to be considered significant. Think about the letter Harrow gave Callum. It was meant to be opened after Harrow died. Callum hasn't opened it. You may be thinking, oh, that's just because he doesn't know Harrow's dead, and besides, he lost the letter. But I think the reason they're dragging out him reading the letter and finding out Harrow's dead is because Harrow's spirit is still alive. Harrow wasn't killed. It's not the right time for Callum to read the letter. Now the question is, how will Callum find out Harrow's not dead? Easy, it's thanks to Ezren. The end of book 1 established that Ezren can speak to animals. And what's Harrow now? An animal! Ezren can communicate to him. He can explain to Ezren what happened. All Harrow has to do is escape Viren and find the princes. Or the princes find him. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I can't think of a goodbye related to the Dragon Prince, so I'll just say, Forminus.